Let's jump right in. Today we're unpacking something incredibly powerful about human psychology and the reality we experience every single day. We're looking at a fascinating piece of source material titled The Secret Language of the Universe. And our main goal here? To figure out exactly why surface-level positive thinking, the kind we're told to practice constantly, so often completely fails to change our actual reality. We're going to break down the nuts and bolts of belief, intention, and action, using nothing but the evidence right here in our explainer.
So have you ever felt like the universe just isn't listening? Man, it is a deeply frustrating feeling, isn't it? You might be doing literally all the right things. You're putting in the work, you're visualizing your goals, you're repeating those daily affirmations, and maybe you're even praying for a specific change. Yet, despite all of that conscious effort, absolutely nothing seems to shift. You just feel stuck. Listen, if you've ever felt that massive disconnect between what you're asking for and what you're actually experiencing, you're definitely not alone. And as we're going to see, it's really not because you're being ignored.
Which brings us to our first section, why positive thinking fails and the illusion of spoken words.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating about this is how perfectly it captures the human condition. Honestly, we are constantly sending mixed signals. Most of us operate under the assumption that reality responds to the literal words we say out loud, but the source material points out a huge, critical flaw in this logic. We actively cancel out our conscious desires with our underlying emotions. Think about it. You're asking for success, but your body is completely tense with the fear of failure. You ask for love, but deep down there's this nagging feeling of unworthiness. You ask for abundance, but your daily internal monologue is totally consumed by worrying about money. You're essentially slamming on the gas and the brake at the exact same time.
Let's move right along to Section 2, Ripples in the Calm Lake, focusing on frequency and emotion.
So here is the absolute crucial takeaway. The universe actually doesn't listen to words. It listens to frequency, emotion, and energy. Now, if you're kind of naturally skeptical of concepts like manifestation, which, hey, is completely fair, I want you to look at this strictly through the lens of undeniable cause and effect psychology. Picture reality as this perfectly calm lake. Every single emotion you genuinely feel acts like a heavy stone dropped right into that water, creating ripples that push outward. Your emotional state completely dictates your body language, your micro-expressions, the decisions you make, and how other people respond to you. Those are the ripples. So if your words say, "I'm confident," but your actual emotional frequency is broadcasting, "I am terrified," well, the world reacts to the terror, not the words.
Right, so where do those super powerful, overriding emotional frequencies actually come from? Well, they come from the subconscious mind. According to the definition provided in our source material, this is the hidden source of our strongest signals, buried beneath years of fear, disappointment, and self-doubt. It's basically this invisible force directly shaping your life, your relationships, your career, and your overall confidence. It's essentially a massive repository of every single psychological pattern of behavior you've developed since you were a kid.
This brings us to a really beautiful piece of imagery in the text. Section 3, the tree root analogy, exploring visible thoughts versus hidden beliefs.
This analogy just brilliantly illustrates that disconnect we've been talking about. The fruit visible above the ground, that represents your conscious, visible thoughts, your daily affirmations and spoken desires. But hidden deep underground are the roots, which represent your subconscious beliefs. Actually, I can share a quick personal story here that perfectly illustrates this. Early on in my career, I was offered a chance to host this really massive event. My fruit was entirely positive. I told everyone I was ready. I repeated all my affirmations of success, but my roots were completely tangled up in this massive, hidden fear of public humiliation. I was absolutely terrified of being exposed as an imposter. And because my subconscious roots were poisoned with that intense self-doubt, my reality ended up reflecting it. I procrastinated on the prep work, I actually lost my voice from stress the day before, and the event itself was just incredibly difficult. It goes to show, no matter how brightly you polish the fruit, if the roots are drawing up hidden guilt, shame, or fear, the tree is only going to produce a reality that reflects those deep-seated patterns.
So, the big question, how do we actually fix the roots? That brings us to Section 4, confronting hidden self-doubt and healing emotional patterns.
The source material suggests a pretty profound shift in perspective here. Instead of looking at life's obstacles as proof that you're failing, try seeing them as literal messages pointing directly to the psychological roots that need healing. Here's a really great short guided exercise right from our text to help you identify that hidden self-doubt. Step 1, just sit in silence tonight. Step 2, close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. Step 3, ask yourself honestly, what am I really asking for? And to really dig into this, the text provides 3 specific journal prompts you can use during this step to uncover those deep-seated fears. First, write down,
What is the emotion I am most afraid of feeling if I actually get what I want? Second, what old memory or past disappointment is making me feel unsafe right now? And third, what does my inner critic say I lack to achieve this? And finally, step 4. Listen carefully to whatever rises to the surface and just acknowledge it. It's all about connecting this mindful awareness to your deep subconscious energy.
Now, when that fear or that uncomfortable memory rises up, the source material gives us a remarkably powerful tool for emotional healing. You simply say to yourself, I see you, I accept you, you don't have to hide anymore. Guys, this is so absolutely crucial. We spend our entire lives just running away from our deep-seated fears. But by deploying this specific phrase, you're actively practicing radical acceptance. You're calling a truce and stopping the internal war. This mindful awareness basically acts as a release valve, physically shifting the deep subconscious energy that has been blocking your path for so long.
Once you start healing those roots, you've got to change how you water the tree. Section 5. Scarcity versus personal power and changing your internal language.
This right here is where real, actionable behavioral change happens. Let's think about the language of scarcity for a second. Phrasing like, I need love, or I need success. Well, the emotional frequency of the word need just broadcasts desperation, right? It screams to the world that you are currently lacking something. Now contrast that with the language of power. I am worthy of love, or I am becoming the person who creates success. Wow, that is a monumental shift. You're contrasting the raw desperation of scarcity with the incredibly grounded reality of personal power. When you shift your internal language from needing to becoming, you instantly alter the emotional frequency you are broadcasting out to the world. It's a total game changer.
And to really lock in that new frequency of personal power, we arrive at our final step, Section 6, the practice of gratitude and shifting the focus.
Okay, the text presents a super counterintuitive secret right here. Practice gratitude before receiving what you want. I know. Most of us wait until the goal is actually achieved to say thank you. But the text argues that applying gratitude before the outcome shifts your focus entirely. If you are genuinely grateful right now, your brain physically cannot focus on what's missing. It absolutely must focus on what is already present. This essentially aligns your emotional state. Remember those ripples in the calm lake? With abundance rather than lack.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to remember this. The universe is waiting for your authentic voice, the voice that lives beneath the fear and the doubt. You have literally never been ignored. It's just that your conscious words were being drowned out by the sheer volume of your subconscious fears. By understanding your roots, facing down that self-doubt, and changing your language to one of power, you finally allow your authentic self to break through and be heard. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought. The universe has been listening the entire time. It listens to the hidden roots, the ripples in the lake, those deeply held emotional truths. So the real question is, have you been listening to yourself? Take that question with you today. Try to maintain that mindful awareness of your own hidden beliefs, and I highly encourage you to try that guided exercise tonight. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.